Hello guys, today I'm going to demonstrate how to create and mount one elastic file system on EC2 instances and how to host a website having web content on elastic file system. So for this we will be performing few activities and the sequence of the activities are in the first step we are going to create two security group, one security group for EC2 instances and another security group for elastic file system. We can go ahead with one security system for both, but since as per the best practice we should not share the security group of elastic file system to other um, Linux instances or other EC2 instances, just to make sure that only authorized traffic are getting entered into elastic file system. After creating the security group, we will create one elastic file system and it will take 2 to 3 minutes to come up. Then in meanwhile, we will be creating two Linux instances and we will be connecting to these instances individually. After connecting to these Linux instances, we will be installing the Apache web server on each instance, and by that time our elastic file system will be up and running. Then we will mount our elastic file system on each instances. After mounting the elastic file system, we will create one web page for the testing purpose on the directory under which we will be mounting the elastic file system. So we will be creating the web page in one instance, and then we will be using the public IP address of each instance in a separate tab, and we'll see that whether both the tab is giving us the same content or not. Okay, so let's get started. I will move on to the AWS dashboard, and since we will be creating the first security group, so let's go to the EC2 dashboard and let's create one security group. Okay, here we see that we have total 9 security groups, but we will not be using the previous security groups. Let's click on the security group and create one another security group here, and let's name it SG underscore instance SG underscore EFS underscore instance. So this security group will be for the elastic file system, and outbound will be the default rule. In outbound we will be having the default rule, whereas in inbound we will add few rules, and those rules will be the TCP rule, through which my EC2 instances will be communicating. So okay, here we need to give the CIDR block range or the IP address or the security group. We are not aware of the CIDR block because we are not sure in which subnet we are going to launch the EC2 instance. We do not know the IP address of the instance because we have not launched it, and we don't know the security group, which security group the elastic cloud compute instances will be using. So at first let's create the security group for Linux instances. And in inbound rule, let's make this anywhere, then add one more rule that will be for SSH and make it anywhere, add one rule for HTTP, make it anywhere, and one more rule that is HTTPS and make it anywhere. Now you can create the security group. So once we have this security group ready, We need to refresh this. Okay, and this is the security group. So here I can name the security group as sg underscore linux underscore instance, and we need to copy this security group ID because we will be using this in the next security group that we will be creating for EFS. So now let's create one security group for EFS. And in inbound rule, use all TCP, and you can give the security group name here. That's it. And now click on OK. So the security group that we had created, this one for EFS, let's rename it for and that's it. Okay, so we are done with the first step. Now let's go to the EFS. We will be searching for the EFS service here, and now we will be creating the EFS elastic file system. And the very first configuration step, we will be selecting the VPC, and since we had used the default security group default VPC for creating the security group, we will be using the same VPC here, and we will go ahead and use all availability zones. Now we are not going to use this default security group, so we will be selecting the security group that we had created for EFS, and that's it. Now click on next. Here you can add some tags, but here it's not required right now, so we'll click on next and create the file system. So for creating the file system, we just provided the VPC ID, we provided the subnet list and the security group. So by the time our elastic file system is coming up, let's go ahead and create two Linux instances. Okay, so click on launch instance and select the very first AMI, that is Amazon Linux AMI. Second step, go with the default option. Go to the third step, that is the configure instances, and here it's not mandatory to have all the EC2 instances in the same subnet, so we can go with the no preference, and that's it. In the security group, we will be selecting the security group that we had created for the instances, and this one is the security group. So now click on review and launch. I will be going with the OB Linux 01 security, key pair, and click on launch instances. So two Linux instance should have been launched, but it is launching only one because we went ahead with the number of instances equal to 1. So now we need to we can give it a name, server underscore name underscore 01, and need to relaunch one instance. So Select the same security group for this, and click on review and launch it with the same key pair. And now rename this to server. That's it. So these two instances will take some time to get initialized, and we start using it. Our key pair is ready. We have converted the PEM file to the PPK file, so we can straight away start using that PPK file for connecting to the instance. Now, by the time it is coming up, let me explain you one thing, that in the first step we had created the security groups for Linux instance and the EFS, but let's say that I forgot to create the separate security groups, and we went ahead with the default security groups for each components like EFS and the EC2 instance. In that case, um, there are two options. One is that the security group that will be created by the security group wizard, we can go ahead with that. We can go and choose this for that particular security group. Just like here we have the security group, so you can click here and you can add it in the another tab, open it and edit the inbound rule for that. Second way is that we can create the security group after creating the EC2 instances and EFS, and we can go ahead and add the security group or edit the security group for both of the components. So even like if you have missed to create the security group, you can later on create and add to the instance and EFS. Okay, so let me check if we have the instances initialized. No. So by the time it is getting initialized, let's do one quick activity. Let's download one HTML website template. Okay, from here we will select one. So these are the free website template, and which will be the plain static website where all the codes and the pages will be in HTML and some JavaScript. Okay, let me check if it is available. And now it is available, so we can start using this elastic file system, but unless our EC2 instances are available, we will not be able to mount it. Alright, so we have one of these instances available for the use. Now let's copy the public IP address of this, and let's connect to okay, this is the ppk key pair file. I will be creating one new session from here. We'll be using the private key, public key. Select the authentication and then browse and select the ppk file from here. So this one is the correct ppk file. I will click on open, and now we are getting connected to the instance. So we will use the EC2-user as the username to log into this. So now we are here. Now let's get into the root user and install the Apache. So yum install httpd -y. and it will start. Okay, by the time it is running, let's select the public IP address of the another instance and create one new session. Use the public IP address and the ppk file from here and open this. So we have two PuTTY window. One is for the server 1 and another one is for server 2. Here we have installed the Apache server. Now we just need to start the service. So we will say like sir, okay, this is going to timeout. We are facing some problem while connecting to the second server. So let's try connecting again. New session. Use the EC2 auth and this is PK file. Open. Well, we are facing a problem to connect to the second instance, and as a part of troubleshooting, what we can see is that we have selected the wrong security group for this. That's why we are not able to connect. Through PuTTY, we are trying to send the SSH request, but this is not allowed here. So if we see only the TCP connection is allowed, so what we can do, we can simply go to the action and go to the networking and change the security group. So from here, we will select the correct security group and assign the security group to this. Now if I try connecting to this instance again, I will be able to connect. So whenever you face any connection problem, check that whether your security group is having the correct expected inbound rule and you are using the correct key pair. So now we can see that we are able to connect to this instance as well. Okay, so here we will log in as a root user and then we will run the command yum install httpd -y. By the time it is getting installed, let's start the service httpd start, and here also let's start the service httpd start. So now let's go to the directory, that is the web directory of this instance, and here we see that we do not have any file in this. Similarly, we can go to this directory and we see that we do not have any file in this as well. And if we use the IP address of these two instances, we see this one is running, the web server is running good in the second server, and for the first server, if we check the connection, this is also running good. Okay. So the next activity that we should do is that we need to mount the instances. We need to mount the EFS on these instances. For that, you just need to go to this Elastic File System console and select and expand the Elastic File System. And once you go down, you will see that it is available, and it is available in all the subnets, and it is using the correct EFS security group. So click on this Amazon EC2 mount instruction, and then you will get the last one. This is the last code or last command that you need to copy. So just copy this command and bring it to your first server instance. And here, instead of mounting this in EFS directory, we will be mounting this in /var/www/html directory. And if you hit enter, it will test for the connection, and if you do not see any error and there is no timeout, it means it is mounted successfully. Now if you type lsblk, you will not get this because this is elastic file system. No, this is not a block storage volume which is mounted on this particular um, instance. So let's check in which directory we are. We are into var vi html directory. Now let's create one file here, vi index.html, and in this file I will write this is the content created on server 01 and just save this. Now we will be using the same command to mount it on the second server, and we will change the directory, target directory, make it /var/www/html. Now it is mounted. So if I okay, now let's refresh this one. So we can see this content here, and if we refresh this, we will be seeing the same content available here also, right? It means we have created the content in server 1, and the same content is able to is visible on server 2 as well. Now what if I change this and add one more line? This is the line added on second server, and just save this. And now just go back to the first one, and here if I see cat index.html, we see okay, this is not there, no problem. We see the content available on both servers. So last time we had created this on server. Okay. So this is how we see that the content is available and it is being managed from both servers, and we have one common volume which is attached to both the instances, and anything that we change on on volume, it is getting reflected on both servers. So this is it about using the EFS with Linux instances and launching the web server on this. Uh, I will be coming up with few more videos on EFS, where we will be creating the EFS and mounting to Linux instances using CLI command. Then I will be coming up with the video where we will be using the EFS with some other services of AWS. So you can subscribe this channel, or you can keep watching this space for the next videos. Thank you.